Couch of Thrones, yeah.
Welcome to Couch of Thrones. This is the couch. We can do a little
Cheers, everyone.
We can do a little cheersy. Cheers to
Cheers.
you. So
Cheers to you.
We're live here on YouTube. We're live on Facebook. We are part of a fantasy draft, a fantasy league.
These are our teams.
Yeah. And this is Matt. I'm Melissa.
I'm Wendy.
I'm Erin.
And we're all on different teams. It's 4 different teams. There's 6 teams in total, so 4 of us representing. And we'll be talking to some of our other teams or other members through Facebook. They'll be chiming in. So it was a very exciting, like in a way, it was a very low-key episode in some respects because it was everybody sort of having their final moments before the battle. But a lot of stuff, like dramatic stuff happened.
In case you didn't read the description, this is season 8, episode 2. So if you haven't seen it yet, spoilers are coming.
So many spoilers.
But nobody died.
Not one person
Not a
died.
single person
It's
died.
weird. Not even like a little kid was lit on fire.
I
Nothing.
know.
It was weird.
And I think I was listening to one podcast about how this might be, and I don't know if this is true. I have not done this research, so if somebody else knows, let us know. That this might be the only episode ever where not one person has
I
died.
think that might be it.
I think it's true because, frankly, most episodes have some sort of death, even if it's just a
Someone in the background.
indiscriminate, random death,
Yeah.
right? So that's pretty huge.
Oh, yeah.
I think it's because next week, like, everyone dies, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's gonna be a rough one next week. So let's talk through how our teams did right off the bat, and then jump into how we got points, and that will lead us into a conversation about plots and characters and stuff. So this week, shooting to the front was Trevor Martin, whose
Yes.
team is called Grin and Barrick. Has 195 points.
And this is from only 50 points last week.
Yeah,
And
really-
so he's up to what now?
195.
Jesus.
Really shot forward. This was,
Holy
it was so on the draft. You know, we get points for sexy things happening. We get points for violent things happening. We get points for promotions. We get points for drinking and eating and wit. And so there was a lot of. I was very harsh last week on the first episode of Couch of Thrones about the person who gives out the points on Fantasizer and the wit points they gave out.
Because we're not coming up with these points.
No.
We're following a fantasy draft league where somebody who's not one of us
Yeah.
is responsible for this person gets wit. That person killed 30 people, not 32 people.
Yeah, I was very harsh. And I feel like this week that person, I don't think that person knows who I am or listened to me in any way. But I think that this week they gave out a lot of wit points.
I think they had to because there weren't any death points.
I think so too. I think they're like, where do we give out points? But then I found that it was interesting because this week Leanna Mormont, who I drafted, got wit points for saying to Jorah Mormont, my love on the show, for saying to him, because this is my love in real life, but on the show I have a different love, and he's okay with it, right?
I don't think he's going to last a whole lot longer. So
That's fair enough. Neither do I.
He's probably gonna die.
He's probably gonna
We'll
die.
get one more episode.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's about
Yeah,
it.
max. That's it.
But she got points this week for saying, good luck to you, cousin. And I was like, but last week she like said some of the like craziest, cruelest things to Jon Snow in front of everyone and didn't get points for that. So it's a little bit, who knows? It's hard to tell.
It's
It's a bit
questionable.
subjective.
I feel like this week's Leanna Mormont points were gimme points from last week.
Maybe. I'll take them.
Yeah.
I will take all the points I can.
Phew.
Yeah. In second place this week is this gal over here. Her team is called Jorah Winter Baby. Great name. 185 points.
From 95.
From
You
95.
You were doing okay last week.
I was,
Yeah.
but I think what really gave this team points was the Valyrian steel
Yeah.
handoff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Valyrian
Trevor-
steel is a lot of
Trevor
points.
got 50 points for Jorah getting that Valyrian steel. Now, that probably means he's going to die next week.
I mean, probably.
But he'll die memorably, so he'll get... And he will probably kill some people with that Valyrian steel.
Yeah.
Right?
Now there's only
It's
a
a
10
White
point,
Walk.
and
Yeah.
there's only a 10-point difference between our number 1 and our number 2 positions. So
Yeah.
it's fertile ground for some changes
Disruption.
oh yeah, it's anyone's game.
In third place is me. My team is called In the Heat of the Mormont. And I have...
You were at 15 points last week, so that's a big.
I got
that's
a big
good
jump.
leap forward.
135 points is what I'm at. My points, I mean, Arya, are we going to go here now? We're going to go here
I mean,
now.
we're talking about the
on
points.
your
We
team.
might as well talk about how she gets.
Listen,
Because you get points for sexy things.
I-
You can show your butt.
Yeah.
You could show like full frontal.
Yep.
You could have some sex.
Yeah.
You could have sex with a blood relative. All these things are worth more and more points.
Arya, when I drafted Arya...
Incest, more points.
Incest is
Incest is more
Yeah.
points. Always.
So weird.
It's so weird. I mean, on a show like Game of Thrones, that makes sense. But
Sure does.
so when I drafted Arya, I drafted her first last season. I drafted her first this season. I love her, but I assumed that most of the points would come from violence, and I'm sure they still will. I think she still has a lot of killing left in her, but I never expected that the points would come from nudity or sex. Never.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I personally loved that scene, even though I wasn't expecting it or rooting for it in any way. I wasn't one of those Gendry Arya shippers, as they say. Yeah, I was not one of those. But
Right.
I will say that I quite loved that scene. It's very controversial. There are a lot of people who don't. Then there's a lot of people like going after the people who don't. It's like a whole Twitter thing happening.
Yep.
See, I don't love it.
Okay.
And the reason I don't love it is because I think it's inconsistent with Arya's character.
I disagree with this, but I know this argument. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it came out of left field for me. I know she's been like on and off flirting with Gendry last episode for like a minute.
Yeah.
But she's also at home now, and I feel like there's a certain amount of who Arya used to be that can sort of come to the surface at that point. There's like that reversion thing that happens when you're with your parents, and sure, her parents are all gone, but she's in the place where she was raised, where she wasn't a faceless man, where she was actually more than a girl without a name. She was a person.
Yeah.
But I think it's as weird as if like Bran had sex now. Like it
Oh my
would
god,
be
that would be so great.
and it'd be great for your team for sure.
Bran's the
But like
best.
it wouldn't make any sense because there would be no because we like haven't seen Arya mature through puberty in the same way that we've seen Sansa mature
See,
through puberty.
I have to call a little BS on this. All
right.
Only because I've heard this argument a lot. We have seen Arya mature into a person who will like slaughter people and mature into a person who has survived so much.
Totally.
And so I think that I think it's interesting that people can accept that part of her maturity, but not make the leap to her sexual maturity.
It's only because we haven't seen any of it over the 7 seasons.
Yeah, but I mean, because she's never been in a position for it to happen. Like when she was on the road with Gendry the first time, there was no way it was going to happen.
She was young
She
and a
was
boy.
young and posing as a boy,
Yeah.
and also there were so many things happening.
Sure.
Then she has had no other opportunity to experience it, and she has come into a place now where she's back at home. She sees this person she has loved for a long time, whether she's loved him romantically or had a crush on him or loved him in another way.
Right.
And so it's like, I think it's totally reasonable for her to say, I might die tomorrow. I love this person. I've never had sex. I want to know what that feels like. And I think it's actually kind of revolutionary on a show that is so okay showing women be raped and showing men be and showing other women be so sexual, to have this person decide of her own volition to take that step.
See, and that's not what I have a problem with.
Yeah, no,
Right?
I get
like
that. Yeah.
I feel great.
You're into
like,
it, yeah.
Love it. She's
Yeah.
like taking charge. She's
Yeah.
in control of her life in the last couple minutes of it. Hopefully not, but I mean maybe on the show.
Your face.
Yeah.
Fingers crossed. I know, don't die.
But it didn't seem true to her character to go bone.
I kind of thought it did though. She
Yeah.
was like, I want this. This is on my list
Yeah.
for tonight.
But
Yeah,
First
Beric
on my list,
Dondarrion's off my
have a
list.
drink.
Bonin Gendry's back up.
Yeah.
Have a drink with
Have
and
a
go
list.
find Gendry. Learn
Yeah.
what sex is.
Yeah.
Look, he was looking good.
I know, but
I mean-
I wish we had some, not tease to it, but perhaps a tease to it even last season when she was hanging out with those actors in Bravos or 2 seasons ago, and whatever,
seasons
or like
ago.
even
Yeah.
when she had
Whoa,
met
yeah.
those Lannister soldiers recently.
But
like,
but those contexts were those were
She's been
not
busy.
spaces where
Yeah.
she was free to do that. They were spaces where she was either hired to kill a person,
yeah,
or where she was trying to survive. And so I don't think like it's not in her nature to put sex first. Like she wasn't raised, or it's not in her nature to think of to be sexual in the way that Sansa was raised to be sexual, and then of course had a horrible thing happen because to her, as a way of sort of what's the word, like unfortunately we had to go on an awful journey with her of that.
We've got a couple of Tims watching right now.
Oh, yeah.
So I want to say hi to both Tims.
Hi,
and
Tims.
for Tim Sandick, I want to say he asked me to give my best. Hold the door.
No.
So that's my best.
No.
Hold the door. Oh, it's sad.
R.I.P. Hodor.
Yeah. Nobody's got
I know,
Hodor
we're
on the team this year.
also sad.
Yeah,
we're
we're
like,
like,
oh, Hodor.
Hodor.
do we think he's gonna come back as a white?
Yes.
Oh my god, terrifying.
Giant, terrifying
Giant,
Hodor.
terrifying Hodor. No.
I mean, he was caught by them.
Maybe.
They got him.
Right, recently.
Yeah. Anyway, I think
Yeah.
like love it or leave it. That was a really crazy scene.
It was a crazy scene.
Yeah.
I personally liked that the last time we saw Gendry and as a sexual being, he was essentially assaulted. And this time
Yeah,
around,
by Melisandre.
Arya said, "You take your own pants off," which like gives him agency in this sexual act that he didn't have in the last one.
Yeah. I like that that Benioff and Weiss, who created the show and run the show, had a lot of conversations with Maisie about how she wanted the scene to go in terms of what you saw of her. I like that. I think what's interesting right now about what's happening on the show in that respect, and let's say in the respect of Missandei and Grey Worm, is like the show had gotten a lot of criticism about certain things, about the representation of people of color, about all the naked and rapey stuff. And I think like I like that they're addressing those things in these later seasons, but it also kind of reminds me of how they didn't before. I feel a little bit conflicted about that personally. I don't know how other people feel about that, but
Yeah.
like Grey Worm and Missandei having that conversation about like how awful and racist Winterfell
Yeah,
is.
let's get out of Winterfell together.
And then they want to go away. I'm glad that these two characters are talking about that, but also it reminds me just of how even in a fantasy show they are the minority, and do you know what I mean? Like,
And like the whole like season 2 and 3 where Daenerys was like colonizing.
yeah, she was a colonizer.
Yeah.
Straight up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, great.
Not great. So anyway,
But that's kind of her speed.
so my points largely, came from Arya. I got a lot of wit points from Tyrion. And Tyrion also gave like that long speech at the hearth of like
About like days of
everyone's-
old.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. That's pretty much, those were my points. In fourth place in our draft is Thoros of Beer, which is Chris Bond's team with 130 points.
Now he went from 80 to 130, so he was in a strong showing last week, and understandably doing pretty well this week.
Yeah, he didn't have Cersei this week.
Yeah, that's the thing. So Daenerys got him some wit points.
And he also didn't have Ned Umber this week.
Oh, yeah.
Because poor Ned was right
Ned.
sadly here. This was Ned.
Poor Ned.
Gone.
Poor Ned.
Yeah.
And then in fifth place with Jim Making Me Crazy, which is
Jamie King Me Crazy.
I can't say it. Is Matt with 110 points.
I was at 60 last week, and
not bad.
I gotta say, my number one guy didn't even show up this week, just like he didn't show up last week.
A lot of
so-
questions about that.
Yeah.
And then
He's
Aaron.
gonna be a 1-episode wonder.
Oh man, I hope not. I think
He'll
he's
be
gonna make it
beyond
past
next
next episode.
Oh, he will.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I expect
I
I'll
don't
do
know.
okay next week.
This is
yes, you'll probably will do okay
Well,
next week.
yes, you will. The big debate in our league, which I think is an interesting one to have
Yeah.
with anyone who's watching, is whether or not. So there's sort of like there's a sort of rumors or sort of conjecture that the Night King shows up in this battle next week, and then that is the only episode he's in, and that's the end of like
That
the
story.
Night King's story, and then the last 3 episodes of the show are about what happens to ruling Westeros and
Right.
not the Seven Kingdoms. or what's left of them. And then there's another theory or conjecture that Matt is a proponent of, that actually the Night King and the army of the dead go straight until the end of the series.
Yeah, I expect next week for Winterfell to be flattened. There will be no need for a Warden of the North because there will be no North. It will just be the undead. So get the hell out.
So, like, everyone that we saw this week is going to die and be undead.
Or escape. I'm
And go
expecting some
south.
dragons to get some people south.
And
Because
maybe
dragons are
first.
good at getting people south,
Many
we
people
realized.
on dragons?
Yeah, well, I mean, we had the entire fellowship
like-
of the
Yeah, there was
the
like
North
9 of them
the
last
throne.
time, yeah.
Yeah, so I feel like you could get 18 people south pretty safely. We know those things are pretty good armored personnel carriers. So, yeah, I think there's going to be a bunch of people who escape, but most of the North will die. And then you've got a much bigger, horrible ice zombie army, and it just keeps going south.
Do you think they're going to die and then we're not going to see them again? Or, like,
Oh, no.
Brienne's going to die and then, like, march south.
That's
and
what I'm
kill
hoping.
people.
Yeah.
Oh, interesting. No, I don't agree with any of this. we have massive conversations about this because I disagree completely, because I don't think that the point of the show is about, I don't think the Night King is the actual antagonist of the show in a way. It's like the overarching kind of existential threat, but I don't think it comes down to the Night King and Bran or the Night King. Like, I don't agree with that.
No.
But I find it interesting. I don't know. What do you think? What do you two think about what's going to
I
happen?
don't know. Maybe somewhere in between. I don't think it's gonna all be, over in one episode. Like, how long's the running time for next episode?
80 something minutes?
Holy smoke.
Yeah, we got a
Well,
long episode next week.
I think 70 or
I
80.
don't know.
It's
I
more
feel
than
like
an hour.
they could park it at some dramatic moment in the fight and then have like a 2-episode arc for the battle.
I'd be down for that, because
And
the
then-
thing is, there's
and
a
then
there's a
maybe-
limit to how many points your character can get for murder in one episode. So you could kill a bunch of stuff and then it taps out. So the Night King is my number 1 draft pick, and I'm expecting him to be heavy in the murder department, not so much like the romance department. So,
You never know
If
if,
he-
Arya and Gendry could do
but
it.
yeah, if he has his fight and then loses next week, that's it. My number 1 draft pick got me 1 episode's worth of topped out points.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
So hopefully
that's
he's around for at least 2.
Yeah, but the Night King also won't kill White Walkers, which are worth more points than killing regular live people.
That's true.
It's tricky. I don't know. Is anybody saying what they think about that? I mean, I don't know. I think the battle itself lasts just next week. It's kind of like, everyone's comparing it to Helm's Deep and Lord of the Rings, which they're very much tip of the hat to Helm's Deep
Yeah.
every 5 minutes on this show, leading up to this battle. But I think the actual battle lasts the one episode, but maybe the aftermath. Like, I don't know if he's totally gone next week, but I don't think that the show culminates in what happens to the Night King.
No, I think it's for the throne.
I agree. Yeah. Hashtag
For the throne.
You know?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I feel like the Night King is going to pass Winterfell, and the story's going to continue to be between Cersei and her golden cloaks, and this impending army. Because if Winterfell is somehow able to stop the White Walkers, then it's just a bunch of barely surviving shabby Northerners against the Gold Cloak Company, and I think that's just going to be a pathetic thing to see. So hopefully it's not that. It's not like there's going to
It's gonna
be
be more
tons of
complicated than
survivors from
that.
this.
No, that is true.
They all had their goodbyes this week.
Yeah.
my God.
So it's like the greatest navy on the planet and the greatest infantry on the planet against Jon and Daenerys and 2 dragons.
But what if he was the prince that was promised?
What if he is the prince that was promised?
I don't think Cersei's going to be interested in the promise.
Well, no. I mean,
No.
it's clear that Cersei isn't interested in anybody else's
No.
future.
Yeah, Tim Hinchcliffe also thinks that the army of the dead will take over Westeros and the remaining noble families will run away on ships and try to rebuild, and the Iron Bank will kill them.
Wow. Okay.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Dramatic. I like your conviction there.
Yeah, I love this idea that we've spent 8 years watching these amazing characters and they all die. Because that's life.
You love that idea?
That's crazy. I mean, the thing is, it's not like we're going to get an episode, we're not going to get a season 9, we're not going to get an episode 7, so I don't really care what happens after this episode. After the final episode of the show, if they all die in it, that's cool.
I don't think they all die. I think there are a handful of people that survive.
Yeah.
I think any fantasy tale that is worth its salt. Is that a thing?
Sure.
Yeah.
Is that what
Sure.
you say? Worth its salt. I think that it always has people who go on because even if you're not going to see season 9, episode 1, in your mind and in the sort of allegory you're watching, it wants to impart some kind of hope. I don't think it can end hopelessly. That's what I think.
I don't know. This is a pretty hopeless show. Remember Ned Stark?
Yeah, but there's also hope on the show, Matt. Yes, Ned Stark, but
But look at Jorah.
look at Jorah.
But there's also
Just look at him.
but there's so much. But the show has so much false
looking
hope.
at her over
Yeah.
and over and over again.
The show is also just so much false hope. Like the false hope of the Lone Wolf's rebellion, the false hope of Jorah ever getting with Dany.
No,
The false
okay.
hope in this show is enormous, and it way, way, way outweighs the hope that actually delivers.
No, because I'm going to say the fact that this many Starks are still surviving, the fact that they all survived the horrific things that they endured, and even Jon, who is part Stark, like the fact that many of them are still alive and the pack is still around, that to me is not false hope.
No.
Those are individual stories of incredible resilience. Incredible. Look at even Dany. I mean, I'm not a huge fan of Daenerys.
You're
And
not Team Dany?
I haven't been for several seasons. I don't think that I think like she's on a path that I don't love, frankly. But
And her character development kind of tapped out a couple of
Yeah.
seasons
yeah,
ago.
well, and the colonizing kind of was all kind of happened around then. But I feel like I think a thing I try to remember about Daenerys when I'm like, God, I can't stand this character, and the thing I try to have compassion for in my viewing of her is that this is a person who was raised with one objective in mind, that her brother was going to reclaim their place on the throne, and they were in this horrible situation, and she was sold to Khal Drogo, and she has had to overcome so many things. I think there are so many stories of actual resilience and hope and redemption. Theon Greyjoy, I think the show is full of redemption and hope.
Yeah.
Personally.
Yeah, I mean, it has it. It just doesn't always deliver in the warming cockles of your heart.
No, because it's also brutal.
So I don't expect the show to end in warming the cockles of my heart either.
But I expect it to have a balance. So I think a lot of people we love will die.
But I think like Sam will survive.
Yeah,
Like
Sam-
if no one else, Sam will survive.
Yeah.
Guy right here that I drafted because I
Yeah.
think he's gonna make it to the end.
And maybe like Rob and Aaron.
I feel like
Robin Aaron.
Yeah.
Robin Aaron is the prince who's promised.
They'll
Yes.
form a government between the two of them,
For
Robin
sure.
Aaron and
and
Sam.
Samuel
Yeah.
Tarly.
Yeah, they'll
That's
rule
it.
hand in hand.
That's hilarious. In 6th place is a team has no name, which is Aaron and David's team. It's our only team effort. They have 90 points.
Which is a huge jump.
Yeah.
From 0 points to
Yeah.
90 points.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. And you got a lot because Gendry
Gendry got it on. And there was also some pretty fun remarks from Bran this week, right?
Bran, yeah.
Yeah.
Bran had got some wit points.
Yeah.
Because he said things we do for love.
And I love that the
Less.
previously on Game of Thrones
Less.
gave us that moment just so
Yeah.
they could sell the punchline 8 years later.
It was great.
I'm in for that. Yeah.
I was into it.
Let's talk about Jaime Lannister.
Okay.
How many
Talk
kinds
about-
of death did that guy manage to dodge in one episode? In one scene?
Jamie's awesome.
I love Jamie.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I love Jamie too. And I want to say like the fact that I went from, and a lot of people went from absolutely hating this guy.
Oh yeah, anyone who
'Cause
thought he was the hero
hideous.
in season 1.
Yeah, it was
Questionable.
horrible. And now look at him. Look at this
Yeah.
dude.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I love that. I think a lot of us predicted that Brienne would vouch for him, which was a huge act of bravery for her to get up in front of those people and stand up for him.
David James Brock does not think Bran was that impressive. Bran the Broken, more like Bran the Bust. Three-Eyed Raven, more like the 5 points disappointment. So you don't get quite as many points for wit as I think Dave might have liked.
But Bran is awesome. He's just not doing things that get you points. It's hard.
Yeah.
Yet. I
Yeah,
think he
yet.
will next
I
time.
think he
Better
will.
be like Worgen and stuff.
Yeah,
next
you'll get
episode.
points.
I think
I
he'll
want
do
the
cool
maximum
stuff.
magic point.
Yeah. Yeah, you'll get them. You'll
Yeah.
get them.
Let's top
And
that out.
visions and prophecies, you know.
Wait, okay, before we go back to Jamie, I want to say this about Bran because this is a thing that sticks in my craw. Is that the saying? I'm
Yeah.
trying out all the sayings that I think
I
are
like that one.
sayings. I feel like I've read a few things and listened to a few things of people who watch who like have Game of Thrones, after shows and stuff, where they talk about how Bran can see the future. And I want to point out that my perception of what Bran can do, and I want to discuss it, is Bran cannot see the future. Bran can see what is happening in the present and what has happened in the past selectively based on information he's getting or choices he makes to look into things. He can sort of sense things in the future, but my perception is not that he can see what's going to happen.
I think I agree.
Right?
There's no evidence that he's ever told you what's going to happen. He just shows you what has happened.
Because
sitting and waiting for Jaime to show up is an interesting guess, but not necessarily prophecy.
No, because the Lannisters were coming and he knew that, so maybe he just assumed Jaime would be a part of that.
And he had seen what Jaime had done in the recent past.
And to be fair, he knew...
Right? And he probably saw Jaime leave King's Landing alone.
He knew where he knew where Jaime was in that moment, which was like a block away.
Yeah.
So...
He's like, he'll be here soon.
Yeah.
But that's why, he didn't know about Jon immediately, because he didn't know where to look for Jon.
No, he needed Sam to tell him about Lyanna and Rhaegar's marriage, and then he could tap into that piece of history.
He's not an encyclopedia. He owns an encyclopedia, and he has to look at it. So, if you're like, hey, what happened on such and such a day? He'll be like, oh, this happened. But if you don't ask him to look... exactly.
Yeah, he's a guy talking to
the past
people.
and the present and the future kind of all at the same time. So he can't focus on... He can't... I mean, if that's what your experience is, you can't really know anything unless you're focusing on something, right?
That makes sense, yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense to me too.
And I think the future will depend on kind of different choices that people make, right?
For sure.
So maybe in terms of what you can see forward-looking, it's
limited.
It's options or limited.
Yeah. As opposed to someone like Doctor Strange who can especially in the MCU, in Avengers, where he can look at the all these future outcomes and determine which one is successful. Bran can't do that. And I think sometimes people talk about Bran like he can, and I don't think my sense is that he can't. But I think that actually makes Bran really interesting because it limits his magic or his awareness, his ability to channel in a very particular way, which is good for storytelling because it's like the thing about any magical thing. In Harry Potter, you're always like, well, if you can use magic, then why don't you use magic every time you need it?
Or in Star Trek, it's transporters. It's the transporters are down, and then you're able to make drama happen. But otherwise, that guy's stuck over there isn't much of a problem when you could just... he's gone.
You need limitations around it.
And so these limitations on Bran are interesting because otherwise he'd be like, oh yeah, if you put this thing over here, we win the battle. So do that. Nobody should be strategizing anything but Bran.
Yeah, if that's the case.
But that's not what he can do.
Yeah.
Anyway. Yeah. Do you think it's because he's a baby three-eyed raven, or maybe he needs more? He needs more time.
Maybe.
To kind of learn how to deal with the encyclopedia.
Yeah, maybe.
That's
maybe.
Very likely.
And, what to do.
Yeah, I imagine there's a learning curve on that.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, you don't accidentally warg into people in the past all the time. That only happens when,
You need
you're...
someone to
Hold the
door. No. Okay, let's go back to Jaime.
Okay, Jaime.
Let's talk about actually Jaime and Bran, because that was a really great scene.
Yeah.
When, Jaime apologized. And what I love about Bran is this knowledge he has, like a sage would have, about the fact that, if Jaime hadn't done that to Bran, Jaime wouldn't be who he is now. And I think the ability to do that to, I guess because he's not really human in the way that, let's say, Sansa is, where she's like, I need you to apologize for this, even though Jaime doesn't. Right? It's fascinating. Bran is that conversation I loved.
Yeah, I thought it was fascinating to see Jaime standing there in front of so many people who have so many reasons to kill him, and Bran doesn't share the one thing that would make Sansa and Jon both be like, we don't need him that bad, kill this bastard. And because if Bran had said, oh yeah, and he threw me out of a window and I'm the reason I'm like this, everyone would have been like, oh well, welcome to Winterfell.
Yeah, but Bran has that kind of foresight, perhaps, to be like, that's not useful right now.
Yeah,
No.
and that Jamie has no idea why he would keep quiet, and then has that beautiful scene with him, and still really has no idea.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I also think it's funny that the only person who really cared about what Bran was and why Bran was like that was Tyrion.
And I think I agree.
Because he likes books.
Yeah, but like, why does nobody else care?
Yeah.
John's just like, oh yeah, that's my weird brother now. Like,
Yeah, nobody actually does, except for Tyrion. And I think what's interesting about that, and what I hope is true also for my draft, because I drafted Tyrion, but I think that what that does is it means if Bran dies at the hands of the Night King, or if something happens to Bran, Tyrion has knowledge now. Like, I think that was an important conversation that we didn't actually hear.
we didn't need to because
No.
we know Bran's story.
But I think, you know, it's interesting because the stories people choose to tell about who they are and what's happened to them are very subjective.
Right.
So we've seen what happened to Bran, but what Bran chooses to tell Tyrion about how he became who he is and why.
Yeah, because there was a really suspicious edit there. Because
Yeah.
Tyrion was at a fire with Bran. Then the next time we saw Tyrion, he was at a fire, different fire entirely. And so it was like, well, why? That was a deliberate choice to make us realize we didn't get to see the rest of that scene, and now we're somewhere else.
And maybe it's a red herring.
Or
but,
maybe it's an accidental edit and there was no other way to make it happen. But it
Maybe.
was a suspicious choice.
But I think it's because it creates a kind of mystery around what Tyrion knows or how they're connected now and their relationship, and I like that. Especially in an episode where, let's be honest, because they're trying to wrap the season up, a lot of things are happening very quickly, and like most conflicts are wrapping up in one scene. Like the thing with Jaime was like, oh, that's everybody forgives him, he's here.
yeah,
like,
I kind of wish he had more of a trial.
Yeah, and I mean, he happened to have accidentally played all of his cards just right to have this person tell that person that this person saw that, and now I'm perfectly honorable.
Yeah.
You know, like, that guy had so many reasons to be killed right there.
Oh, yeah.
And he just
Oh, yeah.
accidentally tripped into being found safe.
I mean, that's just Jaime, isn't it?
Yeah, his charmed life keeps going. I mean,
Yeah.
one less hand,
One
but
less
he's
hand,
still alive.
But yeah, he's still around.
Now, Kirsty Call says, I'm not sure how anyone can complete a pregnancy with only 4 more episodes left, which I think is a Cersei question.
Good point.
It also could be
Very
a
good point.
Daenerys question.
Could
Yeah.
be a Daenerys question as well. I don't think these pregnancies are going to come to fruition. I feel.
Really?
Oh yeah, no, I don't think so.
Well, time moves weird in this show. We had a 40-day trek happen in between the 2 seasons.
Yeah.
Like, that's how long it takes to work your way by horse. Well, maybe by foot. It's a long trip
But in
from
between-
King's Landing all the way up to Winterfell, and we saw that there wasn't any dragons helping. There weren't any magic fast boats. It was just, I'm gonna get on this horse and trot north.
But in
And-
between seasons, sure. I mean, in between seasons, sometimes you have years go by on a television show. But I would find it strange if in the season, unless the last episode
It's like an epilogue.
is an
a couple years
epilogue,
later.
which
Yep.
is possible.
Probably will be.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think Cersei survives
Or maybe they're just locked down in the crypts for a long time.
either. Yeah, I don't think Cersei survives. You think they're locked up in the
Yeah,
crypts?
they lock themselves in the crypts, and like 8 years later, they come out.
Okay,
What happened?
let's talk about these crypts.
Oh,
for a
I'm
second.
so excited for them.
Because here's the thing. I love how, like, I think it's like 5 or 6 times in that episode, they were like,
You'll be safe in the
crypts
crypts."
are the safest place to be. And it's like, all right, we get it.
Yeah.
Obviously, the crypts
The
are
guy
not
who
the
raises the dead is coming. Let's all go where we bury the dead.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like,
That's pretty
that is
dumb, right?
the worst
it's
place to
pretty
hide.
dumb.
Yeah.
Hide in like a tower somewhere.
But hopefully that Shireen kid will be able to.
my God, that-
Oh yeah, she'll be
Okay. That moment. Because Davos is this, like, beautiful soul on the show, right? He's so lovely.
Yeah.
And his relationship with Shireen Baratheon was so glorious.
Yeah.
And what a lovely little beat there.
For the Onion Knight to have that.
Yeah.
So
And
nice.
Gilly too.
And
though.
Gilly,
Yeah.
another
Really
sweet
you know,
Gilly.
warm character.
Yeah. Yeah, that was really lovely. The crypts, it scares me a little bit though.
But what was it? Bran already said that like the dead, like they're already here.
Yeah.
Yes, there's a moment in the teaser for next week where they say the dead is already here, which could mean they're across the field.
I mean, because
or
we
could
saw
mean,
them across the field.
Yeah, or it could mean we're literally on top of the rest of the Night King's army.
And they're all Starks.
Yeah.
I mean-
Headless Ned. Someone asked, is Nedless? In fact, I think it was
Nedless head.
yeah. It was Brock who was saying, "Oh man, what's gonna happen with Nedless Ned?"
I don't think Ned's going to be able to come
No,
back.
no. They've already established.
Easy stunt casting.
No,
anybody could play that.
They've
guy.
already established that you can't. You can't be a headless white.
Right.
They've already established that. And I don't think that Lady Stoneheart, the whole cat comes back to life thing, is going to happen.
But what about Lyanna?
Yeah.
But Lyanna isn't a person who we have. This is my thing about this whole crypt madness. I'm sorry, I have to quash this.
Maybe it's one of the new
It's-
characters.
Ooh, like Nora Ephron.
Yeah,
Nora
Ephron might
maybe
be
Nora
an undead
Ephron.
creature.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, I'd be happy to see that.
Yeah.
I think it is possible that Robert Glover shows up, who I drafted, because he went back to Deepwood Mont, and they've made their way south, and they've basically created all the Umbers,
They built more
and
army.
all the Glovers
Yeah.
are basically whites now, as far
So,
as they've said.
Does that mean we should put... Oh, no, because he died for Red.
Yeah, they
for
finished
real.
off Ned.
They finished
Ned,
off
they
Little
finished
Ned.
him off,
Yeah.
yeah.
That's gone.
Yeah, but I do think it's possible that a bunch of whites are come out from the crypt, but I don't think it's going to be a like
Named characters.
I recognize that person who's coming after me. I think it's just going to be terrifying because
It's a bunch of dead people.
Yeah, that's my perception.
Yeah, that'd do the job.
But maybe I'm wrong. I mean, I've been wrong about other things on the show. Trust
Well,
me.
there's the scene in the trailer with Arya running around down there. So
Yeah.
is
Oh,
that
yeah.
happening next
Oh
episode
yeah, the
then, do you
crypts.
think?
Yeah, that scene. There's also a scene with with the Hound and Beric, and Beric's sword is lit up, and that looks like it's inside Winterfell. There's also there's the scene with the Hound when the fire is happening and he's freaking out. That's from the original trailer for the season, and there's also Varys in the crypt, looking terrified, and people in the background. So obviously the shit goes down in the crypts.
Well,
Yes!
Brock says there will be a lot of tales from the crypt.
Oh,
yeah.
well played.
Solid.
Yeah.
Well
Solid.
played.
Yeah.
Let's talk about, I think, the most beautiful moment of the whole episode.
When Ghost showed up.
Finally!
No?
We'll talk about Ghost in a second. Let's
Where's
talk.
Nymeria and Wolfpack though?
Listen, Nymeria's on my team, so hopefully
I think
she
she's
comes
dead.
back.
I think
so.
I think she's
so.
with the Army of the Dead.
Oh,
I hope
shit.
so.
No.
I think
From
Undead
what-
direwolves.
who's freaking out Arya. in the
That's what I
dungeon.
thought. I
Ooh.
thought that was my initial thought, and that's why I drafted Nymeria, was because I thought that Arya was running away from ice zombie Nymeria.
Cool.
That was my back of the
Wow.
mind, maybe that's gonna happen, because then that way both of them, that gets me points either way, maybe.
That would be fascinating.
Also, I have just such a soft spot for
Nymeria.
Nymeria.
Because then if Arya kills Nymeria as a White Walker, or as a white, there'd be extra points, and then Nymeria would also have a death, and then it would also be the death of a named character. Yeah, it's a good pull if
I
that's
know.
the case.
That's what I'm banking on.
There are going to be some great death points next
great,
episode.
great
Yeah.
deaths, great deaths.
Next, I can't wait.
Yeah.
Well, and I'm really curious if the newest Knight of the Realm is gonna have that title for long.
No,
No.
she's gone.
Yeah.
Oh, Brienne.
She's,
Yeah.
she's going to die real
The
fast.
first
I
time.
think
so
beautiful
too.
moment. Was that
Yeah.
the most beautiful
Yeah,
moment?
the most
Or-
beautiful moment of the episode
Yeah.
was her being knighted. Everything about it, and even Tormund. I hate people who are like, "Oh my god, I'm rooting for Tormund and Brienne." That's a terrible, terrible relationship to be rooting for. I'm sorry.
I'm not rooting for them. I just love Tormund.
I love
Yeah,
Tormund.
It's a fun ship.
Yeah.
No, he
And I find
doesn't
him
know how to fly.
and I find him hilarious. He's hilarious. So I love the interplay. I just there's no hope of that happening, obviously. But I loved him setting it up, and then Jamie picking that up, and then Podrick, the moment between
Yeah.
Brienne and Podrick, when she's like, "I never even wanted that," and Pod's like, "You did, and it's okay." There is such a beautiful moment.
Yeah.
And then the Gwendolyn Christie's acting in that scene,
Ugh,
like
just gorgeous.
just so beautiful.
Yeah, the happiest you can imagine a character who's never happy. It was so lovely.
Yeah, she's gonna die. She's
I
gonna
feel
die.
yeah,
She's
her
going out on a
her
high, though.
character is fulfilled.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Her arc
Yeah.
is done.
And she's gonna
Everything
go
is
out.
happening.
Yeah.
She's
Her
gonna
watch has
go
ended.
out. Her
Yeah.
watch has ended. Yeah, she's gonna go out. In the trailer, she's leading that. She's on the front line, right?
Yeah.
She's got the left flank. I think was what
Yeah,
Jamie was
that's what
saying.
Jamie said.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and it's
Good
The
ground.
Knights of the Vale.
Yeah. Oh, with Jan Royce.
Jan Royce.
Right choice.
The right choice, Jan Royce. Matt and I were joking about how Jan Royce should have like a motivational speaker series called like Raise Your Voice with Jan Royce. He's like the Tony Robbins of Westeros.
I don't know if you've seen any of the behind the scenes photo of this guy, but like he's such a curmudgeon on the show, and he is such a ham in all these photos. He's this like zany old wacky dude.
And he is acting the shit out of every scene
He's
without
chewing
a
up
line.
every piece
Like
of scenery.
that scene with Sansa and Dany when he walks in, it's like his face is telling so many stories.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
Every frame.
Oh,
of
and
him.
I feel like
You should get some wit points.
Yeah, I feel like he was just making up
Some
that whole
facial
thing.
wit points.
Yeah, facial
Yeah.
wit points.
Yeah.
I feel like in that
Controversial.
scene when
Yeah.
when Danny walks in and he's like, well, we've got this happening over here and that's happening. I feel like he just made all that up. He outlived that whole scene. He was probably like, listen,
Yeah.
guys, I think he's probably going to have a scene. He's going to have some things to
He's gotta
say.
have some strategy.
Yeah.
He is Jan Royce.
Yeah. He's in charge of the veil, man.
Yeah. Anyway, I love that guy.
Yeah.
I love that guy to death. Probably to death because
Oh,
next week he's probably
yeah.
gonna bite it. Wow.
Yeah, he is.
Kirsty Cole's Jamie theory is that he will die defending Bran from the Night King, simultaneously redeeming himself and killing the Night King because he's the Kingslayer.
I do like this. I like that theory very
Into
much.
it. Into it.
Christy.
So, yeah.
That's
He's
a cool
gonna
theory.
do something good to
yeah.
to kind of prove being worthy of the somewhat.
Yeah,
forgiveness
if he
that
doesn't
he's
do
received,
something
right?
great in Winterfell,
Yeah.
then the fact that the entire court said yes to him won't really be warranted.
But there's also, right, like both him and Brienne have swords that were forged from Ned Stark's sword.
That's
Yeah.
right. Yeah.
So I feel
They
like
do.
they're like
Oathkeeper
sword
and-
stories are going to be
Connected.
yeah.
Yeah, because
Yeah.
they're both made from ice.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
they're both made from ice.
Someone
Yeah.
has to kill an ice dragon.
Yeah,
Yes.
I'm
Yeah.
hoping that it. My dream is that it's Arya.
I don't know, she's just got a
But-
staff.
Oh, is
but
it
that's
just
how
a
you
staff?
that's
She's
how you
right.
javelin
Taken off
though.
so many
It's
heads.
like it's also like a close
yeah.
range weapon.
It
with
would be pretty
dragon
great
glass.
if Arya
Danny.
manages
Yeah.
to take down Viserion the same way that the Night King took down Viserion.
Yeah.
That'd be pretty cool.
Because she's got a spear now.
Yeah.
It's an
Yeah.
exciting spear.
But she can't.
and a
That's
quarterstaff.
just like one throw with the best weapon in the north.
yeah.
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 It's true.
So I mean,
Good thing she's got that little dagger.
The dagger.
That's gonna be
Yeah.
handy.
Yeah.
I want to see a
and she
little
still
bit.
has needle, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Yep.
She's got so many. I wouldn't
Yeah.
be surprised if she also has like just dragon glass shards in her
Yep.
boots.
But I wonder why, and probably because a timing thing. But you know how Sam stole all those books?
Yes.
From,
Yes. From the Citadel.
So why in none of those books did it tell him how to make Valyrian steel?
Because Valyrian steel. Okay, so the thing is, there are only there's only a few people who know how to reforge Valyrian swords. There is no one left in Westeros who knows how to make a Valyrian sword.
Right,
Not
but it's
even
probably a mix between dragonglass and like some kind of
Well,
nice steel.
you need steel, but you also need blood magic.
Yes, you need magic.
And so there's like all
Yeah.
kinds of
Or,
stuff
like, it's
that,
rumored that it's blood
maesters
magic.
don't really play around with.
Maesters.
And you need dragonfire.
Yeah.
So like all those things combined
All
is like
right.
it's pretty
Wow.
obsolete. You need dragons
that.
for this.
Do you know
Yeah.
why we know this?
How did
because
you know this?
We looked
today
it up this morning.
over lunch
We went on like a metallurgy quest.
Well, because over lunch we were talking about how when they do the demo with the White Walker in King's Landing last
Yeah.
season,
Yeah.
and John's like, you can kill them by lighting them on fire, and you can kill them with dragonglass. We were both like, and Valyrian
Valyrian
steel.
steel.
But he never says that. So then we went down a rabbit hole of research on Valyrian steel.
Like
and
who
swords.
knows about that, and at what point would that have been learned? And did John figure it out for the first time in the history of all of Westeros?
At Hardhome.
or like
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
recent history.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then we read all about how it requires a certain amount of magic. It requires dragon fire. It's not so simple. So,
All right.
Mm-hmm.
but
They have all those
we
ingredients though.
Exactly.
They could
They
make it
do.
now, but they
They
don't
do.
know they can. So I wonder. Yeah.
Maybe
all-
that's what
So maybe we
Melisandre's
can find it in a
gonna
book.
do.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Maybe Melisandre will do something.
Yeah.
the thing is that they probably wouldn't find it in a book, though. As Matt's saying, is because maesters don't believe in magic, but by and
Anymore.
large,
They
Yeah.
write a bunch of shit down.
I know.
Yeah.
Maesters are
And
like
there
less
are a few,
useful. than
but there are a
took,
few
like, some
maesters
books
who
from
know
the
about.
restricted
Yeah,
section, didn't
exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, there are a few
Yeah.
maesters who have a Valyrian steel chain link,
Which Matt was like,
which is the
"What a
biggest waste of Valyrian steel. Like, tip some arrows or something before you make a necklace out of it.
But maybe like that'll save one of the maesters. They'll
Maybe by just
pull
like
out their
Maybe.
ring.
by
and
running
just
away
like-
quickly and it
like
just slashes
like
somebody.
like a batarang.
Yes.
Yeah.
Just like
Chris Bond says Jan Royce has the biggest chest plate.
he does have the biggest
It
chest
is
plate.
really huge.
It is
It's
enormous.
like bulbous. Like
Yeah.
what's he got under there?
Probably leather.
Yeah.
Probably
Yeah.
lined with leather.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
And stomach.
And lots
Very
of stomach.
northern.
Yeah, maybe a little bit of ale.
Yes.
So I want to talk about Sansa and Daenerys because I loved that scene, mostly because I feel like Sansa and Tyrion to me are the people asking the important questions, and everybody else is like not asking important questions.
Right.
They're off on some other thing.
Yeah.
Sansa is like, sure, okay, fine. I concede. I should have been nicer to you off the at the jump.
Yeah.
However, here's the deal about the North, and like I think it's a legitimate thing to say.
Totally. I was very surprised by that scene only because I think I never expected them to be in the same room alone together.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
just because like their storylines were so far apart for so long.
Yeah.
And at first like it took me a while to sort of warm up to that scene.
Well, and it felt in
Yeah, me
that
too.
scene like
Yeah.
Sansa was playing it carefully, and Dany was just having like a knee slapping good time.
Yeah.
And it was like, you should be a little more careful here, Dany, because you're really not getting what you want, but you
Yeah.
can't tell that because Sansa's been trained by Baelish.
And
Cersei.
Yeah.
you cannot mess with Sansa. She had so much King's Landing
Yeah.
followed by so much Ramsay Bolton.
Yeah.
Like she knows how to navigate a situation.
Oh yeah.
But I will say that I think that this is another thing about Daenerys that we're learning is that I think because her only goal ever is for people to make her the queen, like that is all she wants.
Yep.
That's it.
That she walks into situations expecting them to do that. So she walks in being like, I'm going to be warm, I'm going to be lovely, and you're going to capitulate to me.
And I get to be queen.
And I get to
Easy.
be queen. And then every time she doesn't get that, she becomes this angry, petulant kid almost.
And she's confused and has no idea what to do.
And so I think this is interesting because it continues to show us just how ill-equipped she is to lead because of course she is. Nobody showed her how to do that.
And
Why would she know
she's
how to
never
do
shown
that?
that she can govern. She has all the problems that Robert Baratheon has.
Yeah.
You being
Yeah.
on the warpath and successfully taking things out does not mean you're going to be able to govern.
Yeah.
And I don't think if Dany took the Iron Throne, that would be good in any way. And it certainly is not breaking the wheel. It's just
No.
putting her back on top of the wheel.
But I think she might break the wheel so that someone else can lead.
I think she'll be a part of breaking
Right.
the wheel.
I think
like
so,
I
yeah.
think she'll like get the throne back from Cersei in order to put someone else on the throne.
I don't even know that will happen.
Really?
I think
Yeah.
Jon and Daenerys will both die. So there is nobody who's right for the throne.
Gendry.
Get that Baratheon in there.
And I think nobody's saying the word Baratheon these days, so I feel like if some dirty blacksmith wanted to get on the throne, they'd be like, who's this guy? And maybe he'd get to be like the master of blacksmiths, and he'd sit on
A
the...
new position
Yeah.
created just for him.
Yeah, because I feel like they need a bigger government than the small council. They need a large council. They need someone like Sam who knows about what the maesters need. They need someone like Tyrion who's actually like a clever person. They need someone like Varys who is good with secrets. They need all of these people. They've built a government.
But I don't think Varys is going to make it.
Oh, I think he'll
You don't
make it.
think so?
No, I'm worried about
might.
Varys. Also because Melisandre last season was like, I gotta die here, and so do you. And it's maybe he dies like 100 years from now. I don't know how long Varys lives, but yeah.
Wow. Brock says tired. Sansa and Theon having their last meal alive together. Wired. Sansa and Theon having their first coronation together.
Well, not gonna happen, Mark. But I mean, I think Sansa might make it to like far to the end. I think she has a purpose. I
I think of all of my characters, she's the most likely one to survive.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm gonna say yes to that as well. Yeah, I think Theon bites it next episode. That's what I think.
Theon's gonna die.
Yeah.
He's gonna die a martyr,
Theon
but he's
is-
gonna die.
Yeah, Theon is done. Theon has like betrayed everybody and then like redeemed himself in every situation.
Yeah.
Pretty much. Like
he just needs to save Bran.
Yeah, and then that'll be that.
So
Yeah,
of
I
all
agree.
of our first round picks, who do we think is going to be dead at the end of next week? Bran?
Jamie,
Yeah.
Arya?
Maybe Bran.
maybe Bran.
I don't think Arya bites it.
I don't don't want her to.
I mean,
I
I don't think so.
When do we think
She
the
might,
John
though.
and
She
Danny
might. She might.
situation will go down?
I think John and Danny need to have a conversation a little bit more involved than the one they seem to have.
Yeah, they
So,
have to
okay,
do that in
okay.
episode 4 or
Also,
5.
but is she pregnant though?
Yeah, she's gotta be.
I thought maybe she was gonna tell him in the same conversation.
Can you imagine? Oh,
I have something
P.S.
important to tell you. No, I have something important to tell you.
But the thing is, it would be good Targaryen news. It would be bad Stark news. That's the thing. It's like,
Yeah.
Starks don't inbreed. Targaryens are like, yeah, whatever. We're not brother and sister. This is better than usual.
How do we feel about the way? Well, I think it's interesting that John, chooses always the worst time to be like, I must be who I am, and then
Yeah.
says it. I love that about him, and also
He's
it's
also the
the
worst.
worst. Yeah.
It's pure Stark.
It's pure
like,
Stark.
it's exactly what
Yeah.
got Ned killed. It's exactly what got Robb
Yeah.
Stark killed. It's what gets Starks killed.
Yeah.
So he's very Stark. in
He's
that
very
way.
Stark in that way. Yeah.
Dumb as a bag of hammers, but
The best,
so honest.
But Sansa and Arya are not. Like, it's not dumbness. It's like
Oh,
it's
no,
just,
they're totally-
it's nobility.
Yeah.
It's the men that are idiots.
It's nobility.
Although, to be
What about
fair,
Robb Stark.
well, I was gonna say John's mom was pretty dumb for going along with this idea, knowing that Baratheon's coming after them.
But
like
she fell
But
in
she
love.
loved him.
that was Robb Stark's problem.
Yes, but this is the thing this is the beautiful thing about watching. It's tragic,
Yeah.
but it's true. I mean, how many people in real life, I mean, obviously don't go to these extents because we're not living in a fantasy, novel, but I mean, people make really strange, terrible choices because they love people, and that's part of being in love.
Yeah.
That's also part of learning from love.
It is, however, not a part of being in a royal house. It's great for the commoners to marry
Sure,
for love.
yeah.
But if you're in a royal house,
Yeah.
you're told from a very young
yeah,
age
sure.
what you are and are not allowed to do because you're not just a person. You're a name. And I think
yeah.
it's all of these people who are too dumb to actually do that cause these problems in the first
Okay,
place.
but I'm going to throw this back at you.
Is it dumb?
It
Is that
was
the right word?
remarkably dumb for Robb Stark to marry a nobody
Yeah.
instead of the person that he was promised to, because that is such a key alliance that his mother managed to make.
But
And then he got everybody he loves killed. Yes, I'm going to call it dumb.
But I'm going to say that wasn't just on Lyanna. The other piece of this is that Robert Baratheon loved Lyanna, but he wasn't supposed to be with Lyanna.
Oh, he wasn't supposed to take on the Mad King.
No, none of that was supposed to happen. So a lot of people are making dumb decisions.
Oh, Robert Baratheon's an idiot.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong.
Well-
Robert Baratheon is a total idiot.
Well, he's driven. He's not an idiot. He's driven by certain impulses.
He's a warrior. He's a general,
Yes.
and he never should have been more
Yeah.
than that. And the fact that he was a king causes all the problems we have now.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, that's part of it. But I just think that there is something to people following their hearts.
Yeah.
We also want to see that, as devastating as it is. I mean,
Yeah.
look at Jorah again.
Yeah.
Take a
Is it
good
Jorah
long
or
look.
Jorah?
It's Jorah.
A bunch of people say it differently.
People say it differently.
Yeah. It's
I'm
like
not sure they
Arya
say
or
Jorah.
Arya.
No, some people say Jorah. Like, it depends.
Really?
Slightly.
I don't think I think I've only ever heard
Jorah?
Jorah out of you.
Oh, really?
I thought you loved
I
him
thought
so
it was,
much you
like, with
pronounced
joy.
his name
Maybe I
differently.
Saying
do.
it
But that's
with-
like Arya. Some people say Arya and some people say Aya. Like, they don't even say like
Well,
the...
Brienne says Arya in a
Arya.
very weird way.
I can't
think
take
it's her-
it.
It's her accent.
I can't take
I don't
it.
know.
Yeah,
Arya,
it could be
stop.
just how people from
Arya.
the Sapphire Islands.
Okay.
It's a Tarthian accent.
But I think I don't know. I think the love thing is I think sometimes it's worth it.
Yeah.
But I mean, well, because there's no way people would just imagine the world we lived in if everyone just married who they had to marry
Well,
out of like arrangement. That's also not a world I want to live in.
well, and you take a look
Or
at
that we
the.
want to watch.
That's
Right.
certainly not the world I want
Although
to
it
live in.
is what we're watching with Jon and Dany. Like, this is what any Targaryen would have said, well, these are the last two Targaryens. They should breed.
Yeah, but that's by accident.
It's an
They're
accident.
together because
It's
they
an
work really
accident.
well.
Yeah, they fell in love. They're also the right two.
Yeah.
And who was it? It was Chris Bond's wife,
Debbie.
who said,
Debbie.
okay, now they
Love.
cut the scene after that moment where they heard the horn and had to leave. But they walked together to where they were going. There was further conversation that
Yeah.
those characters could have had
Yeah.
after, oh, you have a better claim to the throne than I do.
Yeah.
And then walk away. No, they were, at that point, John would have been like, yeah, but I don't want it. You can have it.
Yeah, but
Great.
I think he's conflicted though. Can I be honest?
Yeah.
I think that like the thing about Jon Snow that's interesting, or Aegon Targaryen, the second or
I
third
can't
or
call him
18th, the thing that's different about him is that, or that's interesting about him, is every time things get thrust upon him, like leadership roles that he doesn't want, like Lord Commander of the Night's Watch and King of the North, is that he doesn't want them and he resists them, but then he gets them, and then he feels compelled to live inside of them and take them on. And I think that hearing this news about himself, I mean, I don't think he's thinking about the throne in a power-hungry way, because that's not Jon. But I think there is a part of him that's considering what that means. I don't think it's so simple.
But we've also seen that Jon has a terrible track record of what happens after he takes the power that's been thrust upon him. When he becomes the Lord Commander of the Night's Watch, he is impaled by the people who have turned against him because the choices he made were so terrible in their eyes that they had to kill him.
Yeah, but that's on them. That's not on Jon.
Then he does the same thing in Winterfell, where he makes the choice that is objectively the right choice.
It is the right choice.
But it gets him in so much shit to the point that everyone in Winterfell is like, this fucking guy that we gave a crown to, and then he just handed it over to a Targaryen. I cannot believe, like, every time he gets it, he then makes the hard choice that makes everything terrible. And I feel like he should never be king, because, oh my God, what's going to happen when that
But
is
he makes
thrust
the right
upon him?
choice
He
just
makes,
because other
like,
people...
hard choices.
Thank you.
Yeah, he makes like the right choice, but a lot of being king is considering how it will be perceived. So
Yeah,
But
I know.
but then he gets like dead or dekinged.
Yeah.
Like, it's not going well. He
He
wasn't the
might
Lord
feel-
Commander
he
for
might
long,
feel
and he
a
wasn't the king for
duty.
long.
he might feel a duty to be king if he lives, and
That's what I mean. I don't know what.
so it
yeah.
might end up being like, well, he doesn't want it.
Yeah.
He might feel like it's his duty.
Yes.
And he goes back and forth between like duty and love, if those are like binary forces. But he might sort of say like, well, I don't really want it, but it's my duty and I could probably do it.
I agree. That's my point.
I don't know.
Exactly. Yeah.
I
I mean,
He'll
he's
probably die.
he's a better leader.
probably
Yeah,
die.
that's the thing. He's
I
a
wanna
better
hear
leader
what
than
Wendy
Dany.
I think this will be all moot though,
Yeah.
because like Dany and Jon are gonna have a child.
I
So,
do
like,
not think that that's going to happen.
I think they'll have a dragon.
I like very much think that's gonna happen. I think Dany's gonna die in childbirth and have this child.
Mm.
And I think
Oh, no.
like Sam will be like king regent
Yes.
until
Ooh.
the child is old enough to lead.
Interesting. Listen, I think that's a very fascinating
That's a
theory.
good theory.
But then we just have Targaryens on the throne again, and that's the wheel just spinning.
Except it's not.
No.
Because he's a little bit Stark.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't think that'll do it. Starks are dumb.
No, they are not. You are incorrect.
Yes, but it'll be raised by
I'm
Sam.
sorry. You are incorrect. They are not dumb.
Ned
maybe
Stark
they'll
was
still
dumb.
They have
expand the
survived
council
in
and
more
have
numbers
a
than
leader
anybody
and
else on the
council.
show.
And that is just because they're the stars of the show, and you
No.
can bet that's not going to be the
disagree.
case next week.
This is what our relationship is these days.
yeah,
Matt and I
it's
just
like
go,
those
no.
Starks are dead. They're all going to die.
No.
There's like an
Check in
there's
with
a
other people.
disproportionate number of Starks still alive, and I
Because they're a
think,
pack. The
They-
pack survives.
the pack
but
survives.
they didn't stay together.
But
Well,
still,
they are
now.
survived. They're together now.
They are, and then Chris Bond is feeling pretty good about Edmure Tully staying alive.
Oh my gosh.
Look at that! Look at the stank
Chris,
on Edmure Tully.
I don't think you're going to see Edward Tully. I don't think you're going to see him.
And
Yeah,
Tim,
I don't
Tim
know.
Hinchcliffe is wondering what the group was thinking about the idea of there being no Iron Throne at the end of the series. That's my call too,
Yeah.
Tim.
Ooh.
That's what
Yeah.
I think's going to happen.
You know,
I think there will be one still.
I think they wipe out the Iron Throne, and despite Dany's desire to break the wheel, her stated beliefs that the wheel should be broken, despite her best efforts to sit on that throne, there will be no throne, there will be no heir, there will be no king, there'll be no queen, there'll just be a government of these clever people doing a good job of leading. And I think if Sansa's good for anything, it will not be being Warden of the North. It will be
Yeah.
on a large council, being responsible for the North, and be the Master of North.
Here's what I want to say. Master of North. Master of North. Here's what I will say about that I think is funny, because you earlier in this very episode were like, it's not touchy-feely, there's no hope. But you have outlined basically like a socialist dream of what could happen in Westeros as the end of the show. I don't
Yeah.
think we're going to get that.
No, if we're lucky, we'll get a government. If we're semi-lucky, we'll get another king on a throne. But if everything goes the way the Night King's planning, Westeros is just ice. and then everyone has to escape to like Essos.
I mean, in a way, I want that to happen so we have a sequel in Essos, but that's just my own.
Yeah. And then Arya's like, hey, House of Black and White, I got some people.
Yeah. She's like, just putting on those faces.
Yeah.
Ooh, I wonder how many faces she's gonna collect next episode.
Yes.
This is the thing, is she has to survive because we want more faces. That's what I think.
Yeah.
And Kirsty agrees, get rid of the Iron Throne. Have 2 thrones and let Jon and Dany rule together.
Oh, that's nice.
That's nice.
I don't think
That would
that's going to
work.
happen, but that's a nice thought.
I think
Yeah.
the throne will remain. I don't think they'll get rid
I
of
think
the
so
throne.
too. I don't think
Yeah.
they get rid of the throne. I think,
Dragonfire. That's what melts the throne.
that's right. I don't think they. I mean, I think I would like that. I agree with this sentiment here of like, wouldn't it be great if there was actually a reformation and they ruled things differently?
Because all we've seen are bad
Yeah.
people on the throne.
Yep.
Even Tommen. Not a bad person, but a terrible king.
Guys,
so
Tommen
cute.
was
Stand a
so
chance.
great, but he
No.
never
Yeah.
stood a chance.
Like
How
Sir
old was
Pounce.
he?
Oh, Sir Pounce.
He was like 11.
What did
I wonder
happen
if
to
Sir Pounce was knighted.
Was he maybe killed
Officially-
in the fire at the Sept?
I wonder.
Do we think he like
He wasn't in the Sept. I
No,
don't
he
think.
was in
He
the
would have
Red
been.
Sir Pounce
in
is
the
just a
Red
street
Keep.
cat
Yeah.
now.
He's just
Yeah.
living on the
Yeah.
streets.
MVP?
He's in Flea Bottom.
Yes.
I want to say that when Podrick was singing, let's talk about Podrick singing. Let's talk about his glorious little voice.
Podrick.
Yeah.
Who gave you permission, Podrick, as Jonathan Van Ness would say, to have that gorgeous little voice? So sweet and so, I mean, very Lord of the Rings. It's one of my favorite moments in Lord of the Rings when Pip sings and they're getting ready for battle. But I also loved this weird Titanic moment. I don't know. For me, it
Where
was
they're
a
in the
Titanic
bed?
moment where it's like Sam and Gilly and like Sam Jr. in the bed, and I'm like, oh no, that did not go well for the people on the Titanic. Do not show me this image of them in their bed. But I thought, what a beautiful. They really did a beautiful job with that episode.
They
last
did a
night.
great job cribbing Lord of the Rings. All the really great moments in
Yeah,
Lord of
it's
the
true.
Rings found their way into this. This is the calm before the storm for both the Battle of Gondor and Helm's Deep, like
yeah.
together.
Yeah.
I feel like all of that was happening at once, and we even had a happy singing squire.
It was
Yeah.
it was quite beautiful. That scene at the hearth as people kept joining in. I mean, I think it was Trevor Martin who we were watching with Trevor and Chris last night said that, that scene when they're around the map and they're strategizing, that might be the most characters in one room together.
Yeah, that
Like,
day would have had the
from-
craziest call sheet in the history of Game of Thrones.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
from different worlds. Like, did we ever think we would see
Bran and
the Onion Knight and
Yeah.
Grey Worm and and Theon and Sansa and like what an amazing collection of characters. I think that was really cool.
But I've got to complain about the one thing that bothered me the most about this episode. And every one of these episodes has had something that just kind of chafed a bit. The one about this one that bothered me was that the ending of this episode had the exact ending right down to the placement and the news being delivered to a person about who Jon is. And it's the news we already have as audience members. Jon, your dad is this and your mom is that. And I feel like in the last episode, it was like, oh wow, we're getting to watch how this impacts Jon. And it's in the crypt, lit by right at Lyanna Stark, like everything was repeated at the end of this episode. And it wasn't like beautiful symmetry. It was
thought it
just
was.
like copy and paste. It felt like the same scene, except somebody else was delivering the news to somebody else who wouldn't want to hear the news. And I just thought it felt lazy/clumsy. And I feel like it's very much in Jon's character to say the dumbest thing at the dumbest time, because he can't not.
Yeah.
But I also
Yeah.
feel like that scene we already saw.
I disagree.
Where would have been better? What would you have
Good question.
preferred?
That's my question.
Anywhere but there. Do it anywhere but there.
the crypts have
and
so
at
much-
It
any
had to
other
have been
time.
that night, though. No.
Yeah.
Could have been, could
It's
have not
about to
been.
go
It
down
really, it really
tomorrow.
comes down to during the battle.
Yesterday.
Yes, it's gonna
Today.
go down today. Today. Oh no, or,
Sunday.
or tonight.
That's
Last
happening
night.
Sunday.
Yeah. I feel like depending on how Danny Knowing plays into episode 3, I'll be able to give you an answer. But at this, because they knew but we don't.
I
So-
I thought it was actually A, beautiful symmetry, B, allowed for a kind of narrative flow to happen where he's in front of Leanna, it opens up the conversation. It makes sense that he would be down there trying to get in some kind of relation to his mother, his newly discovered mother. And it seems to me that the crypts are going to be quite important next episode. So actually, I think it's very purposeful. I
hope so, because I just saw it as real lazy.
It's a quiet, private place.
Yeah.
Like, you know,
Like
there are a lot of
contemplative.
people in Winterfell right now. They all don't go down to the crypts.
That's true. Yeah,
It's
until
also-
they all rise from the dead.
You're also not allowed to be down there technically unless you are a Stark, right?
Yeah.
Like it's
Or you're the queen.
Or
and you
I
can
guess
just walk
Daenerys
away.
can
Be
go
like
anywhere.
a practical place to have a secret conversation.
Yeah, it's
That's
true.
right.
Of course,
Good
so
point.
is the old wood. Like nobody hangs out at that maple.
Bran.
Except
Bran.
Bran. Yeah.
Bran.
Bran.
You go there, you gotta hang
Who's
out with
like-
weird
who's
Bran.
like-
Although,
Always
which we saw
outside.
last time, we saw
Is that
John
where he's
hanging out
sitting?
there anyway.
During the
Yeah.
battle, he's gonna sit.
Yeah,
underneath
He's just gonna
sit
chill
under
under the tree.
I think he's
Yeah.
probably gonna be holding the tree, isn't he?
so he can work.
So you can work into stuff.
Yeah.
I imagine.
Now Brock is saying, what about Grey Worm's faux proposal?
Oh yeah, he's dead.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Grey Worm's biting.
Oh.
him.
Grey Worm's gone.
That's unfortunate.
Yeah,
I
Grey
hope
Worm's-
Messendai survives.
She might.
I think she
but-
might.
But Grey Worm's gone.
It'd be sad to take
For
out
sure.
both
Does she
black
fight?
characters in the North.
No.
She.
But I know.
She's
But
a
here's
translator.
the thing though, is like the minute anybody is like, we're gonna live this great life together, you're
It's
like,
like, oh, you're
and
dead.
You just killed
Yeah.
yourself there.
Yeah, you did.
Yeah, I think Missandei might survive. At least, like, I don't think she'll die next episode. But yeah,
Now, Kirsty has something interesting to say. She's wondering what the connection is between the Night King and the weirwood trees. Because it was dead in Bran's vision, and the children of the forest destroyed so many of the weirwood trees. But what if the magic of the weirwood is key to destroying the Night King? It could be why he's coming for Bran, because of his connection to the weirwood net.
yeah. I mean,
Like on
I
an
mean,
Avatar.
That I like that theory quite a bit. I hope so. Like that seems like quite a deep, nuanced sort of situation. But I think that would be great.
Yeah.
Anywhere where we can kind of really touch magic in the show, I love, and I feel like in the last little,
so
you're
ready
like,
for
please.
magic.
I do feel like the description of why the Night King is coming after Bran and why the Night King is coming after everyone has been very simplistic up until this point.
Yeah, I don't really understand. Like, I know Bran said he's like coming for me because I have the mark.
And because he's history. So Bran's explanation, was that he wants to destroy everything about this, all the people
Like
on this
humanity.
earth, humanity.
Yeah.
And I hold humanity in my self.
Right.
And so, Bran is the unbiased version of what has happened historically.
Right.
But I still that still doesn't quite satisfy
Yeah.
me in
Why
terms of a
does he wanna
description.
destroy humanity?
Well, as I think vengeance seems to be the only
Because the children
plausible
created him
reason
to do that.
Yeah.
Now, Christina Winter is coming, and
hey.
she says, "Don't the walkers have to touch the person to turn them? I don't think the buried can come alive, can they? The Night King
Night
showed in the Hard Home episode that all he has to do is like shimmy, and then
bring them up?
and then the dead just come to life.
Yeah.
So I don't know if all the whites have that ability, but the Night King just has to be like, now, and it happens.
But to your point, Christina, and like to the previous point, I think we are unclear on the magic. It
Yes.
has not been really explored. So it remains to be seen. And I think there will be surprises about how the magic works once they get to Winterfell. Both with Bran and the Night King and the Whites and the White Walkers. I think there's still some surprises to be unearthed there.
Yeah.
No pun intended. Unearthed.
Christina was a big fan of the shimmy.
When he rises, he's like, and rise. Well, it promises to be a pretty exciting episode.
And it has
next
also
week.
promised to be the biggest battle in the history of
the
television.
biggest fight the
Yeah.
North has ever seen.
if you will.
If you will.
Yeah, I will.
Mount Raider.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wasn't it like 50 nights?
They shot it over,
Over,
like
like,
50
50
nights.
nights.
Good
That's
Lord.
insane. Like,
They-
you can make so many movies in that time.
They-
and they made one
Episode.
episode of a show.
Like
They-
movie length episode though. show.
Yeah, like an
Yeah.
80-minute.
Yeah.
They also rebuilt the set for Winterfell this season because they realized that they were going to have to show other aspects of it. They couldn't just show what they had shown up to this point. So that design team, there's a great behind the scenes video that HBO posted where they talk about how they basically built a new Winterfell.
It looks larger than
It
has
is.
before.
It is much larger. There's whole other components to it because basically Winterfell used to stop at that one wall. You would like come in and there was a wall here.
Yeah.
So they basically like lifted that wall and built a whole extension. So it's exciting and it's
Yeah.
like a lot of effort to go into this one huge battle. So I think we're going to see a lot of spectacular things. I wonder which dragon it is and who's riding it in the trailer.
Yeah.
You see, is it Drogon? And
Ooh.
Dany is on it. Is it Viserion? And
The Night
King
King's
is
on
on
there.
it.
There's also speculation that the Night King isn't even in
Winterfell.
And that this is that because we saw all these White Walkers
What?
and we
We
didn't see the Night King.
King.
So the idea that the Night King is just like swinging on down to King's Landing and is just gonna wipe out King's Landing, I'd be down for that. That'd be cool. And just have this pincer move where they take out all of Westeros and then they work their way to the neck. That would be interesting.
Yeah, I will say this.
Because
if-
that would send you directly to the Iron Islands.
Yeah.
It's the only reason to go to the Iron Islands if you can't go farther south.
I will say, I know, why would anyone else go to the Iron
Yeah,
Islands?
not a nice place.
But yeah, I mean, I would love it if Cersei's down there just waiting for like what's left of the Northern Army and like
Viserion comes
I
in.
mean, that would be
and-
amazing, but I don't think that will happen. But that would be incredible.
It would be great.
but
I
it
don't
seems
think it's gonna
implausible.
happen.
Well, it's going to be exciting to see. Thank you, those of you who joined us.
Yeah.
Thanks for your comments and your questions.
It was really
Good
really alive.
conversation.
It was great.
Thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having us.
And yeah, we'll be back next Monday to talk about the biggest fight the North has ever seen. We're
gonna
gonna
be big.
we're gonna fight the biggest fight.
The
North
fight the
has
biggest
ever
battle
seen.
the North has ever seen.
R.I.P. Mance Raider. Can
Oh,
we end
Mance
on that?
Raider.
Good old
Yeah.
Mance Raider.
He died in such a tiny fire the North had seen.
It's true. I know. Talk about hype. Well,
All right.
We wish you good luck in good fortune in the wars to come. It's
gonna be a big one.
See you next week. Thanks. Bye.
Thrones, yeah. Couch of Thrones, yeah. Couch of